If you're playing video games like blazing lasers on your TURBOGRAFX-16, there's a good chance that you're using one of these. The TURBOGRAFX-16 TURBOPAD with turbo fire, hence the term. Without that, it might as well just be a hyperpad, but this is a TURBOPAD because it says so right there. Turbo, turbo fire, turbo, hyper. They're such great terms. They need to use them for everything. The TURBOGRAFX-16 TURBOPAD feels a lot like the original Nintendo Entertainment System gamepad. It has a single D-pad and 2 firing buttons. Stylistically though, this thing is pretty interesting. It has a definite late 80s, early 90s design to it. Slightly rounded corners making it more playable and more comfortable than the original NES gamepad. And the buttons themselves feel better than the Sega Master System gamepad. So it's a nice controller. Not quite as good as the Sega Genesis controller, but what are you going to do? What is? The feature I like the most is the raised TURBOGRAFX-16 logo on its own plastic mountain in the middle of the TURBOPAD. Look at that. It almost feels like a button when you're playing this, like you should be able to push that and have flames shoot out of your TURBOGRAFX-16 or laser beams or something. But it doesn't do anything. It's just plastic molding that looks nice, reminding you that you're playing TURBOGRAFX-16. The D-pad itself is smooth plastic, works very well. It's a very nice D-pad, and the buttons are slightly concave. Your finger fits down into them. They also work really well. Here's the select button, and instead of a start button, we have a run button. That's 2 in 1. If we look on the back, it says NEC Home Electronics USA Inc. Made in Taiwan. Look at that textured plastic surface. No fingerprints. I like the color printing on the front too. It's a classy gamepad. I'll do a full review of the TURBOGRAFX-16 separately. As you can see, it's a very unique, interesting looking game console. This is a 16-bit game console like the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. I was startled at first to find out that it only has one gamepad port in the front. Look at that. Just one. Very unusual looking one as well. Completely different than the Genesis and Super Nintendo. I guess you need a separate accessory to plug in 2 of these things. I'm not sure if that was smart on their part or very dumb, considering when you buy this thing you only have the ability to play one controller. You can see that on the controller plug itself there's an arrow indicating what direction to actually insert this into your TURBOGRAFX-16. If you really need to rely on that arrow to tell you this, you shouldn't even be playing this to begin with. My 16-bit game console of choice back in the day was the Sega Genesis, so I have not spent quite as much time with the TURBOGRAFX-16, except that I've been playing blazing lasers a lot lately using the TURBOPAD. Thanks to John in Wisconsin, who donated the TURBOGRAFX-16 TURBOPAD and blazing lasers. Thanks, John. Classic Game Room fans are the best. You guys are really donating some cool stuff to the show, making sure that everybody in the world gets to see some cool TURBOGRAFX-16 games. So I want to make sure to give a shout out to Ms. Thiel's Emerging Technologies class at Milwaukee Area Technical College. I don't know what your mascot is, but I hope it's the Milwaukee Area Technical College Blazing Lasers, because that would be the coolest team name ever. That's the TURBOGRAFX-16 TURBOPAD. Very nice, very straightforward. Has a very cool mountain of TURBOGRAFX-16 awesomeness right in the middle. Look at that. It's like K2. Towering above the other buttons, letting you know that TURBOGRAFX-16 is in charge. Like Charles.